Hi, welcome to Friday Night Chats with Garage Geek, although it's Saturday afternoon. So yesterday I wasn't feeling too well, and I think it was because on Thursday I had parent conferences, and that's always really taxing. And then the next day, I'm just a little tired. But it was weird because I had like a dizzy spell, and I just decided to go to bed early, and I'm doing the chat today. Now, if you notice, I shaved my beard. Usually when I get sick, I want to change. And so I went ahead and shaved, like my sickness is in my beard or something. And it's always weird, right? Because, I'm not used to seeing my naked face like this. And as I'm getting older, I'm getting, this little, I don't know, waddle here. I mean, it's not bad yet. I know it's going to get worse as I get older. It's not bad, but I'm not used to seeing it. So I'm kind of like, giving it the evil eye. Enough about that. When my husband walked in and saw it, he started laughing. He was, because I look so different. I mean, I hope that's the reason. So I've got a bunch of things to chat with you about. I'm kind of all over the place, but I'll start with a show and tell, which, I really shouldn't do, but I like it. So I bought some books, and so I'm going to go ahead and show them off. I bought this set of Agent of Terra books. The first one is called the Flying Saucer Gambit, and I just thought these would be a lot of fun, and so I think I bought all of them, and this one has the coolest cover. The weird thing is that they're slightly different. Oh, well, I mean, they're different only in that. I thought one was taller than the other, but they're not. So, if anybody has read these and would like to make a comment, I'd love that. Then I bought a really cheap set of vintage paperbacks. I mean, they were like so cheap. And you can tell because they're not in great condition. I bought this Duel in the Sun. I mean, I think I bought all of these. There's, I don't know, like for $15. This one is just ridiculous. How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. I am collecting these gold spine ones, but I don't know about that one. My 10 years in a quandary and how they grew. Now, what's fun about this one is that there are little cartoons along the way in the book, and so this one actually might be a fun read. Next, I have this. The cover looks blurry, which is a shame. The Black Rose, and there's like a big crease right here, but the back art of it is really nice. And I mean, look how thick that one is. The Black Rose, and it says, "This is the magnificent novel which 20th Century Fox made into the Technicolor motion picture starring Tyrone Power, Orson Welles, and Cecil Aubrey." I don't actually think I've seen that, so I need to. Look at this one, The Captain. Great art on that. Now, this one is, I've heard of Beau Geste. I don't think I've never read it. I don't know if there's a movie for it. It's quite a thick book. And I guess there's another one, or I don't know if it's part 2 or just in the same vein. And this one is Beau Sabreur. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But look at her. Pretty awesome. Now this one has some, I don't know if you can see, some loose pages inside of it. And in fact, the next couple that I got, this one is like really got a lot of loose pages. But it's pretty cool. It's called The Burnished Blade, a Bantam Giant. And we got I love the back art when it's like that. And yeah, unfortunately, the pages are kind of like off on this one. This one is by Lawrence Schoonover. And Ferocious Adventure. And 2 more. The Sign of the Ram. I guess this one was also made into a movie starring Susan Peters, a Bantam book. I mean, there's a lot. This is a lot of fun. And Chad Hanna, by the author of Drums Along the Mohawk, which I've heard of, Walter D. Edmonds. Pretty fun. Kill them. Kill them. All right. So another thing that I bought is because of Jeff at Jeff's Cave of Cool Books. So he was showing off, I think, this book. And I remembered when I went to the Edward Gorey house. I think it was last year. I actually made a video about that, I believe, and I showed a lot of pictures. And I had been wanting to buy some Edward Gorey books. Now, I only have one, which I'm going to talk about. That'll probably be my segue. I have this one, which I'm going to talk about in a bit. And so I went ahead and bought this, and actually, I mean, look at the back cover of that. And I mean, I got these really cheap. And I also got this one, which it's a shame. It's a little bit rough, but I know once I put it in the, what are they called? They're not Mylar. I forget, but it's the plastic things. I think it'll look a lot better. But how cool is this? One of my puzzle pieces is stuck to it. I got to be careful of that. I'm doing a puzzle and I put it on the puzzle table. And then I got, let's make sure there's no puzzle pieces on it. I got a third one, Masterpieces of Terror and the Supernatural, all Edward Gorey books. So now I have more books to add to my Halloween books that I need to read each year. But how cool are those? So let me just put these down here. And that would be a great segue to the horror books. So I had pulled this I think last week because I wanted to dip into my horror short stories. I've got a bunch of books that I'm always in the middle of, and every year near Halloween I grab them, and I don't need to finish them. I just read another story or two and then put them back for the next year. So the first one is The Haunted Looking Glass, Ghost Stories Chosen by Edward Gorey. And what's great about this book is each story has its own gory art to introduce it. And this last week I read a story by Bram Stoker called The Judge's House. And there's the gory art, and as you can see, I wasn't sure if that was a cat, but it's a rat. Now this is about a guy who wants to study, and he finds a really house cheap because I think people had died there, or it was haunted or whatever, and they're happy to let him rent it. And there's just all these rats, and there's rats, and there's rats. I mean, and they're like all in the walls. And it's like he's so used to the sounds of rats, he studies to them. And when they stop making noise, he takes notice because he's just used to the rats. But there's this one rat that comes out, and I'm just gonna I'll leave it at that. I think I did a pennant. Oh yeah, let me read this. There on the great high-backed carved oak chair by the right side of the fireplace sat an enormous rat, steadily glaring at him with baleful eyes. He made a motion to it as though to hunt it away, but it did not stir. Then he made the motion of throwing something. Still it did not stir, but showed its great white teeth angrily, and its cruel eyes shone in the lamplight with an added vindictiveness. Only when he throws the crucifix at it does it run away. So that might clue you into the nature of this rat. But anyways, I wish I had found or started a part of the story where the rats are running through the walls. I found that part quite interesting. So I actually only have four. I only have 4 stories left in this book, and I've read 2 of them before. So I really should just finish this one. So there's 4 left, and they're called The Shadow of a Shade by Tom Hood, The Monkey's Paw by W.W. Jacobs. I've read that one numerous times. The Dream Woman by Wilkie Collins. I know Wilkie Collins from The Woman in White. I'm not sure if I've read the story. And then Casting the Runes by M.R. James. I'm sure I've read that one before because I read the double volume of his put out by Penguin. Another book that I dip into is this Ghost Stories put out by Everyman's Library. And I think I only read, I reread the Saki story. It was so short that I went ahead and read it. Let me see if I had it. No, the one before it. was an M.R. James. Oh, whistle and I'll come to you, my lad. So I read Saki's The Open Window. Saki is really interesting because he usually has some kind of twist ending. And this is just a really fun, humorous story about a man who's going to someone. He has an introduction. He's going to stay in the country because he's very nervous. And there's a quite mischievous little girl where he's being introduced. It's a fun story, and I've read it 2 or 3 times before, and it's I mean, it's only a couple pages long, but it does what it should. It makes you laugh, and when you think about what the little girl puts the guy through, it's quite horrible, but it's really funny too. Now, I meant to read this because I've been shamed. I have all these doll books, and I haven't read them, so I wanted to dip into this. So hopefully this week I will read at least one story from that. Now, as I was going when I driving home, there's a book drop box, and so I saw that there was some new books, so I stopped, and this was in there, Life Itself by Roger Ebert. And what's cool about it is there are pictures in here, and you know, I kind of grew up with Siskel and Ebert on PBS, and then I know they moved. I mean, I didn't see it religiously because I was young. I was always sad when they would fight and argue and yell at each other. I don't know what their real working conditions or their not working conditions, their relationship was like. So that's kind of like what I'm really interested in. But there are chapters, like one's called Russ Meyer, the chapter, another Lee Marvin, Robert Mitchum, so Big John Wayne. So I think there's going to be some interesting insight into his life and his career. And it's actually on audio. So even though I have the book, I went ahead and downloaded the audio. I'll probably put this one back into the book drop because although this is a book that I think is certainly interesting, this is not a type of book that I would collect, but I'm certainly glad to read more about him. I think he's a really, really interesting person. All right. So what am I going to talk about? I'm going to just jump between comics and books and back again. I bought this comic. It was $9.99. I pre-ordered it, so I probably paid like $8 for it. And I want to show it because it's a reprint of a really old comic. And I just think this format is really cool. It looks like a magazine, and unfortunately it's hard to keep it from creasing because of its size, and there's no backing board to it. Even when you read it, it's hard to keep it from creasing. But I really like this format. I wish more comics, older comics, they would actually print in this format. Now, I think if they were to print it in color, it would be cost prohibitive. But these are all in black and white, and they're one-pagers. And it's so much fun to just read these and look at the art. And most of them are cliffhangers. And since this is issue number 1, I think, when it came out, yes, it's New Fun Comics 1. I guess they would be continued into the next issue. But some of the art is like so much fun. And the stories are actually good. And there's like, sometimes there's a 3-paneler at the bottom of Mickey Mouse. Here's another. Now, I only read about 6 or 8 pages. Here's Wing Brady. But I look forward to keep reading this. Now, this one, of course, like the art in this is like really nice. I think I actually have some of the hardcovers of this, and I really need to read it. I really liked the art in this one. It's really a lot of fun. I think that's where I stopped reading. So I do have, the next one is a sci-fi one. That'll be fun. But I haven't read that one yet. Oh, here's Loco Luke. So, quite a fun magazine for $10. I don't know. What do you think? It's a facsimile edition of a comic from, I think, the 30s. Yeah, 1935. So, I don't know. If more people buy it, maybe that would encourage them to print more. So, My Garage Geek Army, I need you out there buying the fun big comic magazine facsimile edition #1 so that we can have more of these. But anyways, what do you think of this? Would this be something that you'd be interested in? I just think it's really fun because of all the different art that you get to see, you know, the older style art. A lot of fun. I think Donald Rex would really, really like this because he liked all those, he liked serial comics. In fact, he had a huge collection of those. I don't know if he still has them or not. All right. What? One of my dogs is here. He wants some loving. Okay, so I did finish Miles Morales, and it was really, really good. I actually wasn't going to show it because I've talked about it twice, but I wanted to tell you, like, you could see, I actually dropped it. I was so sad because now it's got this, like, creased cover. I was, like, you know, bummed out because at heart I'm a collector and I want things to be nice. It's not that big a deal, but, yeah, a little bummed out. The artwork in this oh, that was a spoiler, sorry. The artwork in this continued to be really, really good. The story was great. And I went ahead and I did order the third one. I went back into my order and I added it. I want to finish the run. And I think with the next volume of this, it finishes the Bendis run. And I hope the art is the same. I think it's Sarah Pichelli. Her art is really, really good. Does anybody know what else has she worked on? Because, yeah, this art is really nice. So I'm going to move that over here. I'm going to talk about next. I bought this book, and it came in the mail. And it's called The Spawn of Venus and Other Stories, illustrated by Wallace Wood. And this is put out, this is called, I think, the EC Library. And it's put out by Fantagraphics. And just holding this book, it's beautiful. Now, when I opened it up, though, first of all, there's a lot of information. It's a great book. But I'm going to tell you that I was spoiled. Because I opened it up, and the first thing that I saw was a story that I had read recently. And I thought to myself, well, number one, there's no color, which is fine because you would like to see work like this. But I think in this case, it's really over inked if you just want to see the artwork because the ink here is almost like too much color on it. And it seems so small. And so what I did was I had reviewed this, and when you open it up, it's actually the first story in it. So I'm going to open it up and show it to you. Now, here it is. Like, I don't know. I'll leave it up to you. Do you like the black and white versus the color? I really like the color version, but in this book, it's so much smaller that I don't know if I'm going to keep buying these because I would rather buy these EC larger edition color versions versus this smaller black and white. Now, I think Fantagraphics is dropping the ball because if they would put it out in the same size, making the art a little bit oversized, I think it would be a lot better. Now, I'm going to show you an example. So, for example, on page 100, there's a picture of, I mean, that art should be bigger. I mean, look at all those words you got to read. But look at that. Like, that art should be much bigger. So, I don't know. I'm kind of torn because they are gorgeous books. They're really, really nice. They're definitely worth the money because retail, they're $40, and retail, this one is $45. But you can buy them a lot cheaper if you pre-order them. But they are definitely worth it. They're definitely, like, it feels good in your hand. The binding, everything, it's beautiful. It'll look nice on your shelf. In fact, I've seen them in a shop where they're lined up like this, and they do look really nice. But I'm a little bit torn. I would love to hear comments about this. Because I know a lot of people really do enjoy when they don't have the color, where it's stripped down. But if you're going to double dip, I would think you would need the art to be bigger. And since we're in that vein, I bought another book, which is called The Atlas Comics Library #6. And this one is just slightly bigger than the Weird Science one, and this company is doing it right. And this is also Fantagraphics. So Fantagraphics, I don't understand why you didn't make these bigger. But this is gorgeous, this book. And this is a horror volume, and it's Jeff's Cool Cave of Books is going to like this, because all of these stories are taken from these Men's Amazing Detective magazines and Men's Adventure magazines. So here's some more. And so when you look, there's a bunch of information, and then, interiors. So it's really, really cool. Here's the Men's Adventure covers. So I think that this could appeal not only to people who like comics, but people who like that series of books from Men's Adventure magazines that I've been showing off. One that I did about the animal attacks. I mean, look at this cool art. Look at that. Poor lady. So here's the first one. And that's the, the mock-up of it. And there's the cover. I went ahead, his feet. I went ahead and I read this story, The Black Shadow. And it was a fun story. This is a story about a guy who's such an introvert. He talks to his shadow. And finally, after years and years, the shadow answers back. And he finds out that if he throws salt and says, kababo, onto someone's shadow. He throws salt and says kababo. The shadow will split and follow him. And then he could beat the shadow and stab it, and the person's gonna feel it like a voodoo doll. It was kind of funny. So this is what I need my garage army to do. I need you to go out this week and find someone that you kind of dislike. And I want you to throw salt on their shadow and say kababo, and see if it follows you home. And then, hey, have your way with it. I don't know. I mean, I would say just release it back just to see if it works. But yeah, I mean, this book is gorgeous. I can't wait to keep reading more of this stuff. I mean, look at that. What the heck? So this is a big hit. In fact, this is #6 in the series, and this one is the most recent. So I absolutely have to go back and get 1 through 5. I already put #1, which is also a horror volume, into my Amazon queue. I think I'm going to be buying that next month. Okay, I'm going to talk about 2 books that I'm reading. I got them both in the mail, and I started them. And so normally I don't talk about books until I finished, but I felt like it. So I felt like jumping into both because I was just excited. Now, the first one I started, because I actually got it earlier, was Goth by Otsuichi. And I only got, how many pages? About 100. So Geeks Love Dogs recommended this book as being really gross, and I made a mistake like I always do. He said that his wife couldn't finish it, but he got through it, but it's a little bit stomach churning in places, and that's absolutely true. There's a lot of animal torture in this, which is something I can't really stomach. So it's very dark, but it's what it is like. It's like a high school emo X-Files team who are investigating serial killers. For some reason, the town that they live in, there's an abundance of serial killers, and every chapter is like a new episode of the serial hunting. Originally, you think it's about the girl because there's a story about her, but then it shifts over to the boy, and he really becomes the main character who goes through the town and is clued in in on different like serial killers. And I've only been like, I think I've only done 3 of the chapters so far. And I have to say that I'm enjoying it, even though it's very, very, it's creepy. This is dark. And so this is not for the squeamish. But I am enjoying it, and I will give you updates. Now, I will talk about the most recent one. So the most recent one I read is called Dog. And this one has a lot of like animal cruelty. So there is a girl who's being abused, and she's training her dog to kill. And so what she does is she will kidnap other dogs in the neighborhood and make the dog fight to the death to kill the other dogs. And she's slowly training him because she wants the dog to finally be able to attack the man who is abusing her and the dog. And so it actually changes later. But, you know, sometimes you get the point of view of the dog, supposedly, and, you know, how he has to fight and kill. And it's just, like, that part was, like, really hard for me to stomach. There's another part in the book where a guy really likes hands, and all he does is he walks around and he cuts off people's hands. So he cuts off a baby's hands when the baby is left unattended. He cuts off dogs and cat paws. I mean, it's like really like weird, and this is definitely not for everybody. But I am enjoying it, even though I'm just like, ugh. So that's Goth by Otsuichi. So Geeks Love Dogs is right. This is hard to stomach in places. So the next book that arrived is Satan Tango by Laszlo Krasznahorkai. Now, Laszlo Krasznahorkai just won the Nobel Prize. And so I was very interested. I've never read anything by him. And this is his first published book. And so I've only read 50 pages of it, and it's 2 sections of it. And this is wall-to-wall writing. Every page is like that. It's like wall-to-wall. But surprisingly, it flows. You get through it really fast because of the way the sentences are structured. They're really long sentences that keep you wanting to flow and get through the sentence before you stop. And there's something about that keeps you going through. And something about periods and even paragraph breaks makes you stop, and it actually, I think, extends the reading experience sometimes. Whereas something like this with wall-to-wall text, if it's written the right way, you're actually flowing. And I'm finding myself actually getting through this quite quickly. Now, I have to read you the back because this quote is hilarious. It says, where is it? The action of Satan Tango centers on the arrival of a man who may or may not be a prophet or the devil or a con artist in a rotting, rain-drenched Hungarian hamlet infested with failures and spiders and drunks. I mean, who wouldn't want to read a book that's described that way? So, I mean, I'm going to read you 2 short passages, which are really short. So bear with me. Just in case, you know, you're never going to read him, but you're interested in his writing. So this one is a descriptive paragraph. It's a little bit of a chunk, so bear with me. Night descends, no stars, no moon. At the Ellick crossroads, 100 yards ahead of them, a shadow sways. Only later do they discover it is a man in a trench coat. He enters a field and the darkness swallows him. On either side of the highway, there are gloomy patches of woodland as far as the eye can see, mud covering everything, and, since the fading light blurs all clear outlines, consuming all traces of color, stable forms begin to move, while things that should move stand as if petrified. So the whole highway is like a strange vessel run aground, idling and rocking on a muddy ocean. Not a bird is stirring to leave its mark on the sky that is hardened to a solid mass that, like a morning mist, hovers above the ground. Only a solitary frightened deer rises and sinks in the distance, as if the mud itself were breathing, preparing to flee in the far distance. Pretty cool writing. All right, so here is another. This is a man talking to his companion as they're walking, and they're talking about the people that they're going to meet in this town, and they don't have much respect for them. They'll be sitting in exactly the same place on the same filthy stools, stuffing themselves with the same filthy spuds and paprika every night, having no idea what's happened. They'll be eyeing each other suspiciously, only breaking the silence to belch. They are waiting. They're waiting patiently, like the long-suffering lot they are, in the firm conviction that someone has conned them. They are waiting, belly to the ground, like cats at pig-killing time, hoping for scraps. They are like servants that work at a castle where the master has shot himself. They hang around at an utter loss as to what to do. Now, I wonder if someone really talks that way, but great writing. So, it's very strange in that it just throws you in and you got to like jump in running and get caught up. But it's flowing. And if you're at all interested in Satan Tango or Laszlo Krasznahorkai, well, then you should try it. And I can't wait to finish this because I have the 8-hour movie to watch. It already arrived. So that's something to look forward to. All right. I did watch a couple of movies. I already did this. I did that. I did that. I did that. Goth, Satan Tango. I did the Gory books. All right. I did read. So for the rest of these, I did those two. For the rest of these, I need my iPad to show stuff. So I was doing a puzzle, and I haven't finished it yet, but it's a Halloween puzzle for my puzzle channel. But as I was doing the puzzle, because it's a Frankenstein puzzle, I decided to listen to the book. Now, I have listened to Frankenstein. In fact, I listened to this version before. And his name, narrated by George Guidall. And, I mean, what to say about Frankenstein? I mean, everyone knows it's one of the greatest books, right? And so I really do recommend this version because when the actor does the Frankenstein voice, it's really compelling. I mean, what could I add to the discussion of Frankenstein? I mean, it's such a classic masterpiece. It's such a great book. It's so different from the movies. I mean, as I'm reading the book, I'm kind of missing out. I was like, I mean, like, where's Igor? And like, where's all, like going into the graveyard and getting the bodies? I mean, those kind of fun things from the movie, they're like part of the Frankenstein lore, right? And then when you read the book where, obviously it came way before the movies, you just kind of miss it because that's what you grew up with. But I mean, this book is so compelling, and Frankenstein's voice when he takes over the book, I mean, it's way better than Frankenstein monster when the actual like Frankenstein parts, like the Dr. Frankenstein. I mean, it's still really really good. Frankenstein, if you've never read it, you really need to. And if you haven't read it in a long time, maybe it's time. It is a really, really great novel. And I enjoyed it just as much listening to it this time as when I did before. Now, the next book that I listened to this week was called Flashlight by Susan Choi. Now, this is one of the books that is on the short list. Oops, I forgot to highlight it. It's right there, Flashlight. So at this point, I'm halfway. I think there are 12 books here and 6 books here. So I've done 3 and 6. And so I'm like right in the halfway point of the Booker Prize list. I'm sure I won't get it finished. I was able, or I have 3 more on hold, only one of them from the short list, the other 2 from the long list. So all of them aren't available in audio, so I won't be able to finish them all. But this book was so good. I mean, so good. This one was really long. It was 18 hours, and it could have been trimmed. There is some fat in here that could be trimmed, but overall, this book takes you on a crazy journey. Like the very beginning of it, there is a young girl who is walking on the beach with her father when her father drowns, and she's very young, and so she has to go into therapy. And the flashlight motif keeps coming up through this book, but it's a little forced if you want my opinion. But one of the themes is what we see and what we don't see, what's illuminated and what's not. There's like, you could see half as dark, half as light. And what we know and what we don't know about each other, which I find that's a fascinating theme. So we learn a lot about the characters that the other characters in the book don't know about each other. And I find that's really, really important. All of the characters were really, really compelling. The daughter is the one who loses the father. So this goes until she's an adult, and it traces the people in her family, and as they're going through this traumatic event, and then it takes each character and like the mother and the father, and it goes back to when they were young, and we see what forms their personalities, and like I kind of figured what was going to happen because there's a lot of clues, but halfway through this book it changes and the narrative becomes so compelling. Like, I do not want to spoil this at all, but this is about nations, and so the father is Japanese, who was he's Korean, who grew up in Japan, and then went to the United States. So he's from all these different nations, and and a lot of this book is also about identity. And something happens to him, right? So he drowns at the beginning of this book, but it doesn't end there. His story doesn't end. I don't want to spoil it. But wow, you're just like on the edge of your seat. And there was so much that I wanted to happen, and of course it didn't, and I understand why, because when you're dealing with a story of this type, like, I was so involved emotionally that I wanted the character arcs to go in a certain way. And of course, the author isn't going to do that for you, right? Yeah, like, unless you're reading like a romance book, then of course they have to tidy it up in a pretty bow. But this isn't like that. So the author isn't going to do what you need emotionally. Like, they're gonna push you, because life isn't satisfying that way. And the way that this ends is really emotional. And even though it's such a long book, it's probably not that long, actually, 18 hours. It's probably about 500 pages. It's very compelling, although you will have to go through some parts which are a little bit of a slog. For example, the actual daughter, she was annoying to me, and her, like, we see her grow up, and she's more the same. And actually, her character, I was mad at her character for most of the book, but I understood it because of what happened to her as a child. But the way she treats everyone, especially her mother, it was a classic, daughter dislikes the mother, and I don't know, like, her character grated on me, but she's integral to the ending. So, anyways, I've gone on and on and on and on and on. Flashlight. You should read it or listen to it. So good. So that, I think I'm done with books, and so all I have left are some movies. I have four movies to discuss with you. So I'm gonna start with the first one, which my husband really wanted to watch, and so of course, we take turns. So he picked Caramelo, which is a Brazilian movie about a man who rescues a dog, but the dog ends up really, really helping him throughout the movie. Now, this is one of those feel-good movies where you can't help but love the movie. I'm a sucker for those kind of things, so I absolutely love this movie, but it's not going to be... It's one of those sappy movies, like, it's about a dog. So, but I was along for the ride. Those kind of movies get to me, but I know that this isn't going to appeal to everybody. But I would highly recommend Caramelo if you like movies about dogs. And, there's a reversal, because I'm not going to spoil it, but the owner goes through a lot of problems, and the dog is there to help him through that. I mean, it's a trope that's been used in a lot of movies, so I won't reveal it, but anyways, enjoyable fluff. I'm gonna say that. Yeah, just watch it if you're in a lighthearted mood. like if if you're sick of being disgusted by this, then you need to watch Caramello. So the next movie I watched was Brightburn, and Brightburn is basically evil Superman. So what happens when Ma and Pa Kent raise Superman, but he's just inherently evil? Like there's nothing you can do, and this movie becomes part of it becomes something you don't want it to. It becomes like the haunted house where you're trying to escape the monster. And I think that brought the level of the movie down. But the ending is just so depressing. I understand that that's what this movie needed to do, because we're not talking about heroes here. We're talking about things, and it's a horror movie, and it's not going to have a positive ending. But it is very, very bleak at the end. And so I don't know if I could recommend this. If you're a horror fan, you should watch it. If you're a superhero fan who loves the Superman mythos and you love the positivity of that, you do not want to watch this, because it drags that through the mud. There was another comic by Vitch, and I forget who it was, and it was this. I remember that from a long time ago, where there was a baby that came, and it was just like I beams was just like killing everybody around it. And what was that comic? Yeah, it was crazy. I remember that from a long time ago. It's kind of like that, although the bad things don't start happening until he becomes a teen. So, did I show you this picture of Caramello? I mean, come on, look at that. Now you got to watch it. Okay, the next movie I watched was it just came out on HBO, and I heard great things about it, and so I was very happy to watch it. Weapons, phenomenal, amazing movie. Wow. So this movie is two things, and so it changes in the middle. And so if you like human psychology, so what happens is there's a town where a teacher walks into her classroom and all the kids are gone except for one. They're all gone, and it's a mystery. They all ran out of their houses in the middle of the night, all at the same time, and some of them are caught on door cams. Now, this is the very beginning of the movie, so I'm not really spoiling it. It's got a great cast too, by the way. And so the whole town is just like ganging up on this teacher because they think she had something to do with it. And so the first half of this movie is about her trying to deal with this trauma of, everyone says, despises her, and everyone in the town is like after her, and it's really cool. But in the middle it changes, and there was some scenes I was like, they were so horrible, but I was laughing out loud. I was like burst out laughing in a great way. I mean, this movie becomes so crazy at the end and so satisfying. I'm not going to spoil it, but what happens in the end, you're like cheering, you're so happy. And the way that it happens is just so over the top. It's awesome. There's a lot of gross things in this movie to keep horror fans like really interested. So I would say that if you're interested, you could watch the first half, and then when the lady gets attacked at the gas station, that's when you might want to like turn it off. All right, if you don't want to watch the other part. But the first part is more like mystery, and I think it's really good psychological tension. And then the second half just becomes that crazy, over the top horror movie with a really, really creepy, cool villain. It's such a fun movie. Weapons. And visually, it's got like a lot of really cool images in it. And the final movie I watched was the Hammer movie, The Mummy, the Hammer version. And I think it was in like the late 50s. So here's where I'm going to get in trouble because I don't know any details. I mean, I don't know who did what, who directed what. Like, it's a Hammer movie, Mummy. So I was watching this movie when I was really tired, and finally I had to turn it off, and I had to finish it the next day. But there's a lot of talky parts, and they're not bad. But when I was tired, I was just like, ugh. And I just had to go to sleep. So I rewatched like one of the main talk parts the next day, and it was actually really fascinating. I'm going to describe it. So we've got Peter Cushing, and it's the typical mummy. Like, there's nothing really new in this. So there's this, they're in a dig site, and they've been warned. They in Egypt, and the sets are great. I love the sets. The costumes again are very lush. Like, there's an Egyptian, and he's got this really beautiful green jacket. And in fact, they go back in time to ancient Egypt, and that whole part is really beautiful. And so they're warned, and of course they disregard it. And so, the mummy's got to take revenge. So we go back in time, and then we have Christopher Lee as the guy who becomes a mummy. And it was fascinating to watch that section of the movie. And so then we go back and to the present, and the Egyptian is he wants revenge for them desecrating the grave, and so he's sending the mummy out to kill the three people who actually did it. And so it's really a lot of fun. But like the third part of this movie, I was like the guy, the Egyptian, sends the mummy out, but he goes out with him, and the mummy doesn't do any of the killing. Like, the Egyptian guy's there, and he's like stabbing people left and right, killing people left and right. I'm like, then why is the mummy even there? But there's this trope where one of the women looks like the woman that the mummy like loved and worshipped. And so there's always that trope, right? And so he captures her in the final like part, and they got to go save the woman from the mummy. It's all a lot of fun, but there's this really long talky part where the Egyptian, where Peter Cushing visits the Egyptian guy, and this actor was in another movie by Hammer that I watched, which was really cool. It was about I think like a serpent goddess in India. See, this is where I get in trouble because I like that movie. I actually own it. I don't remember the name, but that guy was in that movie, and he plays the Egyptian guy in this one, and he's actually really, really cute. And so Peter Cushing comes to his house, and they have this debate, and it's like they have to remain civilized, but they both are accusing each other, but they don't come out and say it. And they have this debate about desecrating graves, and is it okay, for British people to go into other, countries and like take all of their stuff when it's not supposed to be on display? It's supposed to. It was buried for a reason, and it's part of the culture and the heritage. And it's a fascinating debate. And even though, this guy is he's doing everything for the wrong reasons, right? He's like killing people using a mummy. His argument is sound. His logic is sound. And Peter Cushing's is not, and he's the hero of the movie, but he's in the wrong. And I just thought that was a really interesting morality that they threw into the movie. It was kind of fun. So anyways, the Mummy from Hammer Studios. It's not going to be the best movie you watch, but if you like older horror movies, then you are going to enjoy this movie. Especially for the sets, the costumes. The mummy himself looked really, really cool, except one thing that throws me off is the eyes. The eyes look so lifelike, and they really stand out with all, like the paint. And so maybe it was difficult at that time for them to put in like things over the eyes, but it really does kind of take you out of it because the eyes are so expressive and they're so lifelike, whereas the rest of the mummy, is dead and mummified. And I'm going to go over my list right now, and I think I'm done. So I talked about 4 movies: Caramello, The Mummy, Weapons, and Brightburn. Some novels, Frankenstein and Flashlight. I showed off a bunch of books that I got in the mail. And I talked about the difference in the comics, Ed Wood versus the smaller black and white art versus the color larger art, Miles Morales, some ghost stories that I read, and I showed off a magazine sized comic. So there you have it. That is, I think I did everything. So that is my Friday night chat, which is a day late. But it's good because that allowed my throat to heal up a little bit from talking too much during parent conference that extra day. But as always, I love comments, and I'm interested in what you have to say about anything that I've showed. And as always, I want to thank you all for the support.